Alright guys, welcome to another video. My name is Andres, or I go by Felipe, whatever. But on today's video I want to talk about something very important, and that's emotional intelligence. And I think I'm just gonna tackle one topic today because that might be a little easier for people to understand, I guess, right? Okay, so we've heard a lot of throughout our lives about people talking about, like, emotional intelligence, being aware of your emotions, blah blah blah. Okay, and most of the time, yeah, we think that we know, that, like, we think that we are emotionally intelligent, right? But as time goes by or whatever, I realize that a lot of people in the world anywhere don't really have you know that, what I mean. They don't have emotional intelligence, or they're not aware that their emotions are that they're pretty much acting out of their emotions. It's not even them thinking what they're doing, but it's just them letting their emotions control them. So an example of that is, let's say, man, in today's day and age, um you know the typical guys who you know end each other's lives for no reason. Maybe they got mad, they you know they don't like each other, because people be doing that these days. They've always been doing that. Let's say, I don't like you, the way the way you dress up, or the way you smile, or whatever the hell, because that's something that I've seen anywhere. Let's say in schools, in jobs, anywhere. We have childlike people in positions of power. You know what I mean? And what's that mean? Well, if a child, which when a child doesn't know you know what he's doing, or that he's being emotional, or she, because it could be a girl, a guy, or a girl. And I know I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, how women are better at, like, being emotional intelligent. But to be honest, in today's day and age, that's not the case. Because men and women all together, and I'm not saying all of them, because I don't know every single human being, right? But a lot of the people I've encountered anywhere, in the world, or anywhere, they don't know what they're doing. They just, let's say someone says something to them, and then they just act out of anger like crazy, and then they end up fighting. Or I've met a lot of people who, like, you can't say anything about, I don't know, let's say, like, of course you gotta be respectful with people, right? You can't just be saying things to people, because of course that's gonna have certain consequences depending on the person. But an example is, like, me, which I don't, but let's say I tell someone, like, hey, I don't like something that you're saying. I don't like something, I don't know, anything, you know what I mean? Which, in most cases, it's way better to just keep your certain things to yourself, right? Because you don't know how people are gonna react. But we're getting to a point where you cannot say anything without people, men and women, alike, where you can't say anything because they get emotional. Now, when you know, people talk about like, oh well, being emotional is okay and this and that. Yes, everybody has emotions. Men and women, we all have emotions. We have the same emotions pretty much because we're all human beings at the end of the day. But the issue is that when we have a whole bunch of people who don't know how to control themselves, how to regulate their emotions, then that's why we have a society like the one that we have today, in which people are just deleting each other and deleting themselves because someone says something to them, or you know, people getting sad, which is valid, right? Like if someone is talking crazy to you, well, of course that's gonna make you feel some type of way, right? Could be sad, angry, frustrated, any of those things. That this right here, what I'm talking about, it's actual emotional intelligence. Why? Because I am aware that we as human beings, men and women, can feel these emotions: anger, sadness, frustration, loneliness, anything. But the problem is when we don't know how to regulate those emotions, how to set boundaries, how to use these emotions in a way that's good for you. For example, in one of my videos I put I was talking about boundaries and all these things. When you go to therapy, or when start reading and learning about these things, about yourself, about being a human being, because we're all human beings at the end of the day, then you realize that anger, it's an emotion just like any other. It's pretty normal. Everybody has it. Just like some people don't know how to use it. And so when I say that they don't know how to use it, is because anger, it's kind of like, I'm sure there's people who don't know this, and it's okay. But we need more people who know these things, because otherwise you're not gonna know what's going on. If you're not aware of your own emotions, you're not gonna be aware of other people's emotions, and that's how it works. That's the beginning to understanding the other human beings, you know what I mean, the people around you. And that's how we as a whole, or as individuals, can be better human beings, you know what I mean. But if we just go around just talking whatever, just saying whatever, and not being aware of what we're feeling, or why we're feeling what we're feeling, then we're not gonna get anywhere. So anyways, where I was going is, let's say anger, which is one of the emotions that is the most difficult to understand, and to not as much control, but being aware that you have it too. Everybody has it. But here's the thing. What's the, let's say, what's the use of anger? Well, anger helps, or is there so that you can put a stop to certain things. Have boundaries. What are boundaries? Let's say someone says something to you that is not correct, is not good for you. And when I'm saying that, is not like people just say anything and then you get offended, no. But it's like when someone is actually trying to somehow attack you, maybe not physically, but as a person, you know what I mean. So maybe they're saying things that are not, that are just not good. They don't feel good. They might be saying things that they're not true about who you are, and then Well, how, and that's the beginning of understanding your emotions. Well, how does that make you feel? Okay, well, when this person is telling me, you know that I'm, that I suck, that I'm this, that I'm that, well, that doesn't feel good, right? And let's say for me it was something that I had to work on, right? Because I didn't know when to say, hey, that's not good. But then as you start learning more about you, about being a human being and all these things, then that's when you realize, okay, well, sometimes when people tell me certain things, I don't like that. Now, that doesn't mean that you're being weak. That means that you have self-respect, that you deserve to be treated, in a good way, and that people around you who just think that I can throw hate or say whatever they want without having any consequences, they're not allowed to do that, and that applies to everyone. Okay, and I know, okay, with this being said, I know there's gonna be people, which this is the true toxic masculinity people. Which are these guys? Okay, the guys who are unhealed and they be treating people like garbage. And so when you try to hold them accountable, this also applies for some women. When you try to hold these people accountable about the way they're treating other people, they are they don't even know what they're doing, because they have let their anger be their whole personality for so long that they don't even know what they're doing. They just go around hurting other people, saying whatever they want, treating people badly. That's why we have so many people with low self-esteem, and so many issues, self-image issues, and all these things. That's why people delete themselves so often, because we have a lot of people just saying whatever they want, and they don't get checked. They don't get, nobody says anything to them. And you, as a man or as a girl, need to learn when to say, hey, that's not good, I don't like that. Okay, the other person might be angry, might be like, like, hey, well, what are we gonna do? Okay, well, here I'm gonna tell you what you can do. Okay, there's a few things that you can do, right? So you, as a man or a girl, as a human being, should know how to defend yourself. Should go to the gym. You should be working on yourself regardless of whatever is going on in the world, or with people, or with anyone. You should be working on you, because that's gonna make you less likely to fall prey to unhealed people, to people who are literally just anger. They're just angry at themselves. It's not even at the world, but at themselves, because they blame everything and anything but themselves. They don't hold themselves accountable to the things that they do day by day. You know what I mean? And it's because of those people that the world is, often, my bad, that the world is often, in all this, that the world is just wild. Because it's because of these people who refuse to look at themselves and just be like, hey, you know what, maybe the things that are happening today, maybe some of them are actually my fault. Or maybe there's certain things that I'm doing that are affecting me. And I'm not talking about me, but you know what I mean, they're affecting me. I'm speaking as if I was these people, whatever, and they're affecting the people around me. Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk today. Like how the more I've healed and grown and learned and done my work, and I keep on doing it, because that's what you gotta do until the day you go. wherever you go. um that, then you start realizing how things are. you know we have people in all places of society who don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing because they're just controlled by their emotions, by their pleasures, by validation, by everyone else, by popularity, by all these things. And that's why the world is crazy right now. It's just crazy. You cannot walk to a mall, you cannot do many things, or you can, but then at any point in time someone comes and they're dealing with things that they don't even know how to deal with, which is, something on, that I understand. But when things go so bad, let's say some people haven't dealt with their, with themselves the way that they should have, or the way they should, then that creates certain emotions, right? Resentment, etc., loneliness, etc. And so when that happens, people like them, which they're human beings, but they don't know what they're doing, they end up hurting more people. That's why there's a saying, hurt people, because that's the truth. Unhealed people will cause the more damage to other people, because their actions are coming out of a place of hurt, where their lens just, let's say you have a camera, the lens that you have, when you're healed, it's a good lens. You're like, okay, well, life is good, it has its things, but it's good. But when you're unhealed, the issue is that everything that you see at any moment looks like anger, like hurt, like someone's gonna do something, you know what I mean, like all these things. And I'm not saying that's not gonna happen, because that's the world that we live in. But if you don't heal yourself, then you will start seeing or projecting, which that's the meaning of projecting, your own anger. You will feel like people are also angry, right? When people are not angry all the time. Or people, let's say you feel, some type of way, about yourself, and then that's the whole thing about, like, projecting emotions, projecting, your how you feel, and that's it. How you heal that? Well, you step away from all these things, you start learning more about you. Let's say you don't like how certain people talk about you. Well, you don't go to those people. Why? Because you cannot be around people who like to hurt you. That should be, a lot of people are just like, oh, well, yeah, but like, sometimes you're joking and this. Nah, bro, no. Or girl, whoever is watching this, if someone is literally trying to hurt you, or throwing comments at you at all times about how this, how that, how bad you are at this, well, that's not good. Sometimes you can joke, yeah. Sometimes you can, depending on the level of trust or how good you are with this person, of course you can, like, joke around and do things, right? But that's not the case with everyone, right? So, I just made this video because I thought it was, very, it's good to know. It's good to know, because we live in a world where people end each other's things, you know what I mean, by for no reason, literally for anything, anything, or you know, yeah, and that's not good. That's not good because you know we're all, you want it or not, we're all part of this. This is where we live. This is what we got. So what are we gonna do? Well, we can only do what we, you know, our best. And if you're not doing your best, then you know, try at least to do your best, because that's all you can do. If you're feeling some type of way, if you're feeling, you know, lonely, sad, depressed, those emotions are telling you something. Those emotions are telling you that maybe the place that you're in is not the right place for you. That maybe the relationship you're in is not the right relationship for you. It could be your family, it could be anyone. If you're not feeling good with, you know, at the place that you're in, with the people that you're with, and all these things, then it might be time to change the people that you spend your time with. That might mean, which it was my case, and I'm not saying every single person I met was bad or anything, but at some point you have to separate yourself from everything, from all these distractions, from all these things that are not serving you, all this alcohol, all this insanity, and start doing things that are good for you. When you start doing that, you're gonna find resistance. What is resistance? People who at some point you used to hang out with or do things with all the time. Because now I'm not saying that you cannot do, you know, maybe you cannot have, you know, you cannot do whatever you want, but when you stop doing those things all the time, then you're gonna find resistance, because people are gonna think that you think you're better than them. Now that's when the whole them projecting insecurities on you begins. Why? Because they themselves know that they need to start working on their own things, on themselves, but they are not willing to do that, or they don't have the will, the strength, whatever it's called, the self-control, all these things to do that. And if they don't have that, then they start blaming everyone else for their situation. And what happens? Well, that's when you gotta separate yourself from people like those, because it's not good. And that's how you actually start feeling good, having more confidence. You start attracting better things, better people. You start feeling good and actually enjoying this. And why I do these videos, why I do this, because I want people to feel good about themselves and realize that this is possible. It comes from someone who has been in places where you know crazy things happen too. You know, I had to heal a lot of things about my childhood, about, you know, a lot of things. And that's why I'm here, to tell you that you can do it. You need to do those things that I just told you, otherwise things are not gonna change. You need to stop doing things that hurt you at the end, or ultimately. Because if you yourself hurt yourself, whether by engaging or being, you know, in, you know, a lot of alcohol, drugs, things that are hurting you, let's say being intimate or being with the wrong guy, with the wrong girl, who don't really like you for you, but maybe, you know, likes you for whatever you have, you know, materialistically speaking, or whatever, you know. If people that are around you don't want you for you, then you're gonna start to feel bad about you. Why? Because first of all, you're not being yourself. You're trying to impress people who don't like you for you. They like you for, maybe, let's say in my case, at some point I grew up being very social, right? And I used to go out a lot. But my issue was also that I kind of put, this, you know, not this front, but because I've always been, try to have good relationships and stuff, right? But at some point, if you want to be part of certain groups, well, you start adopting certain behaviors, and so that's, let's say, that's what happened to me at some point of my life. I became all wild and all these things, and everybody loved that. Everybody loved the wild Felipe or Andres or whatever, the wild me. And even me, I was convinced. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, hell yeah. But you know what? That only takes you. That only lasts so long. That only lasts so long. The you that's always going wild and hurting yourself, and you may not be hurting others, but you're hurting yourself, because you should be focusing, or you should be working on you, going to, working on your body, on the gym, your money, things that are good for you. But no, instead you're out there going crazy, going wild, doing all these things, which I don't regret. But um, I wasn't feeling at my best. If I can compare one thing to the other, back in the day, drinking a lot, or which I never had an issue, with like alcoholism or anything like that. But I went out a lot, and I met a lot of girls, and all these things. Like, I never felt the way I do right now. It's been a while since I left, not completely, but for the most part. I don't really drink at all these days, or I don't go out to clubs and all these things at all, because I realize, okay, it's not the act it's not that the act of going to these places is bad, but when you could be saving for that trip or that house or whatever you wanna do, you could be doing that, but instead you're going out and you're just spending all your money, which is, again, that wasn't my case. I've always been, I've always stayed on my grind, on my things, but I know it's the case of many. And some of that is you stopping yourself from reaching those goals even faster. So you gotta really sit down with yourself and and be, allow yourself to feel, first of all, and then be honest with yourself and be like, okay, how am I feeling right now? How's my life feel right now? Am I feeling good about myself? Am I feeling, do I feel sad? Do I feel angry? Do I feel, like, like a failure? Do I feel like this, like that? All of that is valid, right? Because all of those feelings exist, right? But if you're feeling like that, then that's when you have to change something, right? Because your emotions are there. They tell you, they're like a compass, or like something that's telling you that maybe what you're doing, who you're hanging with, what you're going to do, it may not be as good. You know what I mean? And most of the time you should listen to yourself. That's the whole thing about listening to yourself, believing in yourself. Let's say, because I know some people might say like, oh, okay, well, All right. What was I saying? Okay. So, oh, I got lost. But I think what I was saying is okay. So at that point, okay, some people I know, they're gonna say, like, hey, well, you shouldn't let your emotions dictate, what you do, and that's what you need. This is another thing. Mostly, most of the time, guys or men, human beings from the male, gender or whatever. I guess I that's a better way of putting it, right? So that nobody feels attacked. Most of the time, it's these guys who are like, "Whoa, it don't matter how you feel, because if you feel, sad and depressed and this and that and blah 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 blah, then you just gotta go to the gym, and every single day, 7 days a week, 3 times a day, you gotta go to the gym, and then you gotta eat 5-6 times per day, and then you have to work 24 hours per day, and then you gotta," it's like, no, bro, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. Because at the end of the day, you are a human being. That's why you're feeling so frustrated. That's why you're always like, and just spewing whatever the hell like comes out of your head. Because yes, you might have, a little money, you might have a little something right there, which is okay. We all do. And if you don't, then you gotta start working on that. And if you haven't started, to work on that, then it's okay. You can start at any moment. Even if you're sad, if you're angry, if you feel any type of way, you can always, change the way your life is going. Okay. So this right here, this is what I'm saying. This is what people lack, because most of the people that you find on the internet or YouTube or whatever, let's say you're feeling sad, like as a man or as a mostly, but or as a girl or whatever, you don't feel good about yourself, about your life, about this, about that, and you just find a whole bunch of people talking out of their backs, if you know what I mean. You're saying, well, if you didn't do this, if you weren't doing that, and if you blah 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 blah, they don't realize they're making you feel worse. You know what I mean? So what's the solution? The solution is stop listening to these people who are always just like you cannot have a conversation with them, because they're always like they always want to be right. They want to be the ones talking, speaking. That's pride. You know what I mean? You cannot have a conversation with a person which their pride is bigger than themselves. Why? Because they will always want to be right. They will always want to have the last word on anything. They don't want to have a conversation. They don't care about you doing better. They just like, if they neglect themselves, because that's what they're doing. If they neglect themselves and they lie to themselves, saying that more money will make them feel better, more girls, more this, more that, well, that's not true. Because you need better habits, such as sleeping better, not going out, or not staying out, at clubs and all these things as often or at all, because you gotta get, you gotta sleep well. You're a human being, guy or girl. So you have certain limitations. Now there's gonna be someone saying, well, you gotta push through your limitations. And well, yeah, you gotta push through your limitations, that's true, but not by neglecting yourself. What's neglecting yourself mean? Well, that means that you gotta get some sleep. You know what I mean? You gotta get some good sleep, so you tomorrow when you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning for your job, or 6 or 7 or whatever time, you feel good. You know, you don't feel tired. You don't feel like like we all know that feeling. Most of us know that feeling of like just went to sleep at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. watching whatever or doing whatever you were doing, and then next day you're just feeling awful. That's when you stop doing that, neglecting yourself. When you eat good, you wake up. Let's say you go to work at 5 a.m. An example, because people think that you cannot do both, like be successful and take care of you. You can do both. You can do both. If you gotta wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning for whatever you're gonna do, then wake up 30 minutes earlier. Make yourself some eggs or some sort of like food, a little something, so that when you go on your day to do whatever you want to do, whatever you gotta do, you go feeling good, feeling, like, because that's what it is. We're human beings. We're not as much as you wanna be a robot or a superhero or this and that. You're a human being. You know what I mean? So it's not like you can run without food and water for 20 days. You cannot. And that's why the world is the way it is, because we have people telling you that you can work 24 hours without eating and without drinking water and without doing all these things, like, because they act tough. They're like, oh well, if you really want to be like this, if you really want to be, bro, and they're feeling, bro, most of these people, they're not even feeling good. That's why they don't like themselves, and it's okay, because we've all been there. But here's the thing, that's how you solve it. So anyways, I think that's it. I want to make this video any longer because I think that's that was everything. I said most of the things that I wanted to say. But yeah, stop, don't neglect yourself. Take care of you. Eat good. Don't go too wild. Don't go wild at all if you can, because you depend on you, your future, your everything. Whatever you want depends on you, not your mom, not your dad, not you, whoever. And if your parents pay for everything, and do everything for you, then cool. But the day they're not there, then you might have to deal with that too. So anyways, yeah. But yeah. So I hope this this works out for you, and I know it will if you do what I'm telling you to do. If you don't, then you might have more problems and issues than you already have. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this really helps, and I know it will, for the people who are actually trying to do something of themselves, out of, you know what I mean. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. My name is Andres Felipe. You can call me however you want. I'm just kidding. Yeah, you can call me however you want. I'm kidding. You can call me Andres or Felipe, either or. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.